Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm Ellie Witch Lady, and today I thought I would just do a get to know me kind of video. I was actually going to be doing a kind of witchy haul video, but some of the things that I kind of wanted to feature in that video haven't arrived yet, so I'll do that when they do arrive. But today I'm just going to do a getting to know me kind of session, and yeah, so I'll just get straight on with that, and thanks very much for watching. So the first question that I get asked quite a lot is, what kind of witch are you? Now I would say I always describe myself as a witch with Wiccan tendencies, but I'd also say that I'm kind of a bit eclectic, so it's a case of sort of picking and choosing from other paths, and maybe even some other cultures, and choosing those things because I'm drawn to them. I would say that I'm like a positive witch, and I try to work in the light as much as I can, because I think life can be sort of dark and horrible as it is, so I always try to stay within the light. Okay, so the next question I get asked is, how did you discover your path? Yeah, so I started with Wicca, and it was through actually a David Wells forum, because I don't know if you remember Most Haunted, that used to be on TV. And anyway, yeah, so I just I got interested in his mediumship and, you know, his skills where that is concerned. And obviously I'd watch the programme to see if they caught anything paranormal. But yeah, so I just kind of was following him, and I found a forum, and I got talking to some people, and they, you know, were a mixture of witches, Wiccans, druids, all the rest of it. And I just found I was quite drawn to Wicca, and I think that's just where I started, was talking to people on these forums, and, you know, emailing them if I had any questions or anything like that, you know. So they helped me along the way, and I'm still friends, you know, with a lot of these people that have kind of guided me and helped me on my journey, as it were. So yeah, so basically it was through David Wells that, you know, I would say he kind of kick-started my interest in, I would say, the pagan life, as it were, and, as I say, into becoming a witch, and, you know, following certain aspects of Wicca as well. How long have I been practicing? Well, I have been practicing, as I say, since 2008, so it will be coming up to 14 years. Is that right? Is my maths right? My maths is awful. I think, yeah, 14 years in June. So yeah, so that's how long I've been practicing. The next one is, are you solitary, or am I a solitary witch, or am I in a coven? I think when I first started I thought, oh, I probably need to be in a coven, but as I've gone on in my journey, I've found that the solitary witchcraft sort of way of life that's for me. I just prefer to do things my own way, because I think in a coven you'll generally have a set way of doing things, like, you know, spell casting, rituals, all the rest of it, ceremonies. There'll be set ways that they will do things, whereas me, I really do just pick and choose. And sometimes some things, even when I'm in a ritual or casting a spell, they'll come to me last minute and I'll just do it, whatever it is. So yeah, so, you know, being in a coven, that's cool, and it's got, you know, it's pros and cons, obviously, but I just prefer to be solitary. Okay, so the next one is, do you practice divination, and if so, which kind? So I've already done a video on 3 sort of different types of divination. So obviously I listed tarot. I do my tarot cards not often at all. I would say I do my tarot cards maybe twice a year. I don't do them that often. I probably should maybe pick them up a bit more and get back in tune with them. But as I say, life's taken over, and I didn't do tarot for quite a few years. I say quite a few years. It was a few years I didn't really do it for. I have got my oracle cards on top of that, so they're a bit different. But as I say in my video, I explain like the differences. I also have runes as well, which I'm very connected to, because my runes are gemstones, and they've got all the carvings, the rune carvings on them. So I use that, and I also will use, I've just started using my pendulum. I've had a pendulum for a while, but never really thought of using it. But I've, you know, just sort of started picking that up and using it. This is a good one. Do I have a patron or a matron deity? I don't. For me personally, I just believe in the goddess and the god, and all the goddesses that are connected, whether it be Egyptian mythology or Greek mythology, Norse mythology, the whole lot. Each goddess that you get, so you'll have Freya in Norse mythology, you might have Athena in Greek mythology, and Isis in Egyptian mythology. Now those three goddesses, they to me are aspects of the goddess as a whole. So the way I see the goddess and the god, they are a whole like that, but it's kind of split in two, and you've got the goddess on this side and the god on that side. So all the goddesses and the gods you can think of would be on that side, and the same with the gods. Like I say, you could have Hermes in Greek mythology, and, you know, Thor in Norse mythology, and you'll have the god of Egyptian, or one of the gods of Egyptian mythology, Thoth as well. So you have, you know, these three examples of goddesses on one side, three examples of gods on the other side, and as I say, these are just all aspects of the goddess and the god. So I just kind of treat it all as a whole, so I don't kind of I don't follow one specific deity. As I say, to me it's the goddess and the god. So the next one is what my favourite pantheon is. Well, it's got to be Greek mythology, the Greek side of things. It's just always fascinated me ever since I was 7 years old. In primary school, we actually studied like the Trojan War and everything, and I remember, you know, we had to do worksheets and things like that. We had a video that we were watching, you know, about Odysseus and, you know, about the Trojan War and everything. So yeah, we did that when, as I say, I think I was about 7 or 8. I think I was 7, and we even had to construct our own little Trojan horse out of cereal packets and, you know, toilet rolls and all that. So yeah, so I've always been fascinated with the fact that, you know, they worshipped gods and goddesses, whereas obviously when I grew up it was God created everything and it was just one entity that created everything. But it fascinated me that there was many gods and goddesses that were connected or associated with certain things, like Athena. I know I keep using her as an example, but she's connected with wisdom, for example, and you'll have Aphrodite, who's connected with love. You'll have Hephaestus, who's connected with like metal work and things like that. So yeah, so I honestly, I would say I probably know more, and I'm definitely drawn more to the Greek sort of pantheon, as it were, that the Greek mythology side of things. So favourite goddess, as I say, I do just go by the goddess and the god as a whole, but I would say Athene is, or Athena, however you want to pronounce it. She is my favourite goddess, I would say, and favourite god is probably Hermes. So I mean, I do think about all of them, and obviously they're all important, but if I had to pick two, they would be my two. Next question is, what is my star sign? My star sign, or sun sign as some people call it, is Aries. Okay, so next question is, do you have a familiar? And I would say no. A familiar is an animal that you can work with within, you know, your magical practice. And I mean, I've got 6 snakes, and, you know, I don't connect with them in that kind of level. I don't connect, you know, I don't connect with them in that kind of, I would say I connect with them in the spiritual level, just not in a carrying out day-to-day witchy spell casting, that kind of thing. They're not, I don't think they'd be comfortable to be around me if I'm burning candles and things like that. We do have a cat, but he will come in, sniff around and then wander off. So, and yet again, he's not one to really, you know, connect with on that level. So yeah, as I say, if you're lucky enough to have a cat that's fine with you burning candles and this, that and the other, and will, you know, follow you in what you're doing, then, you know, that's great. But as I say, I've not really had a pet that I can connect with in that kind of way, as it were. But as I say, you're lucky if you do have a familiar, then that's fantastic. So, and maybe yet again, that'll be something I'll go into a bit more in a future video, but that's me just touching on that for now. Okay, the next question is a bit of a deep question, and it's thoughts on the afterlife. This is what I believe. I believe that when you die, you have a time of rest. Your soul obviously leaves your body. You have a time of rest wherever that may be. As I say, a lot of Wiccans, they believe in like the Summerlands, I think they're called, but you know, everyone's got a different name for heaven or where you may go, you know, to rest. Yeah, there's lots of different names for heaven, but yeah, I believe that you go and you will have a rest somewhere for however long your soul needs to rest and recover from the previous life that you were in, and then you are reincarnated after that certain amount of time. And I think maybe once, you know, you've learned all the lessons you can, have gone through all the experiences that you can go through, I think then ultimately there is a place where you will go and you will be, and that will be, you know, you will just literally be, you'll be at rest, you'll be at peace, and you know, it will be a place of calm and tranquility and serenity. And that's my belief. I mean, I believe I've had like 10 past lives, and I think this is my second female life, as it were. I think all the rest I've been a man. So yeah, so I think there's still, you know, I'm bound to be reincarnated a few more times. There's so much that I believe I've got to learn, but I hope at some point my soul will get to rest somewhere just wonderful and magical, and I can just be, and just, you know, all the stresses and strains of this life will just go, as it were. The feelings of anxiety and depression that I get just, you know, vanish, and as I say, I will just be. Okay, this is a good one. Have I had any paranormal experiences? Yes, I have. I've experienced quite a lot of things when I was younger. I've even done a video on it on my snake channel. I've spoken about 3 different sort of paranormal experiences. Actually, it's probably a few more than that really, but yeah, I mean, my main one that I always tell people about is when I was younger. I was probably about 3 or 4, and I was just in my bed at night, and suddenly this man appeared. I knew I was awake because I was like looking around the room and the light was on. I used to have a little night light thing, and suddenly this man appeared, just like sat in a chair or sat on a stool or something. Yeah, he was wearing a charcoal suit, and I always describe him as looking like Louis Armstrong. So yeah, or like a slimmer version of like Louis Armstrong. And he had like this green handkerchief thing, and he was like sweating. I don't know what was going on, but he was sweating. But as I say, this man just suddenly appeared. My door didn't open or close or anything like that. This man just appeared and sat there, and he was talking to me. I don't know what he was saying. I was very young at the time, so I couldn't really understand. I don't know what he was going on about. The last thing though that he said before he like literally disappeared into thin air was, you can take the covers off when I've gone, when I've disappeared. And that's another thing to mention. It was like a really hot summer's night, and I just remember I was feeling really hot, and I was just like, oh my god, I've got these covers on, I'm sweating, and this man's talking to me, I don't know what to do. And so he said, you could take the covers off when I've disappeared. So like a few seconds later he disappears, and then I remember flinging the covers off, and I was absolutely just soaked with sweat. I was boiling, absolutely roasting. And yeah, so that was a bit weird. It's nothing massively eventful, but it was just strange. As I say, a few things happened. Things like faces would appear on radiators and start talking to me, and things like, oh no, it sounds like, oh, you know, you must have been dreaming, or you know, whatever. Some people probably think I was on drugs, but I was a little kid at the time, so no. My very earliest memory is probably when I was about 1 and I was in my cot and I was just peering over the top, and these faces just appeared on this radiator thing that was nearby, and I always say it reminds me of Mount Rushmore, and these people were talking to me, but yet again, I was only 1, I couldn't understand what they were saying, and then they'd disappear, and then I sat back down in my cot and then went to sleep. And yeah, it's just weird. There's just been so many weird things. My memory is very long. I have a very long memory, and yeah, so yeah, they're just a couple of strange things that have happened, but maybe I'll do yet again a separate video on paranormal experiences and bits and bobs, but for now I'll leave it there. It's another question that I have actually been asked quite a bit, is how like my friends and family feel about me being a witch. I think at first they thought it was just a phase, and that because I've been known to go through phases with, whether it's liking, a certain band or an artist or whatever, or maybe being obsessed with a film actor or something like that, but yeah, I think they kind of thought it was a phase at first, but it's it's not. It's a way of life. It's part of my life. It's brought me, I would say, more peace away from obviously my mental illness and all the rest of it. In a spiritual way, it's brought me more peace than anything else has. It's made me think a certain way and understand things maybe in a better, more positive way, that you could say. But yeah, so they're not, I think they just think as long as I'm happy, what does it really matter, so yeah, they're fine with it. I mean, some of my friends are witches anyway, and they do their own practicing. As far as I know, they're all solitary witches. I mean, we could in theory get together and create a coven, but I just don't think at the minute people got the time or the energy to do that, so they prefer to work solitary, and I prefer to work solitary. So but yeah, everyone as far as I know is fine with it. They might, my mum and my dad sometimes like look at me weird if I'm sort of talking about anything that's remotely hippy dippy, as it were, but yeah, they just think as long as she's happy, then and I'm not hurting anyone, I'm not mugging old ladies or anything, so just let her carry on. This next question is, do you have an altar? Yes, I do have an altar. It is right behind me, and I will put up a photo of my altar. So you've seen me practicing. If you've seen my past videos, you would have seen my altar anyway, and me just doing some spell work and bits and bobs around it and on it and things. So yeah, so yes, I do have an altar, and I do have my goddess and my god little figurines on there, and you can probably see behind me I've got my chalices and my candles, I've got my pentacle trivet thingy, and yeah, my wand, my athame, all that's on there, so I'll just show you that in some pictures. What is my favourite pagan holiday? I would say, I mean, I love them all. If I'm honest, I love them all, and they all have their place within the wheel of the year. So I mean, I do love Halloween and I do love Yule. I would say they're my two favourites, and Litha as well. So yeah, I mean, I love them all, to be honest, but I suppose my ultimate favourite two are Halloween and Yule. Next one is, do you meditate? Not as often as I should. I try. What I have done in the past, I've not done it very recently, but like a few months ago, I was listening to rain sounds and just trying to just calm my mind, slow my mind down. And I would say I do this a lot before sleep because I suffer with insomnia, and just listening to rain sounds and having that distraction, because normally when I'm trying to go to sleep, I switch all the lights off, my brain's going a million miles an hour. And it's hard to switch my brain off. So if I have sort of music or as I say, rainfall sounds, anything like that, it just distracts, because I can hear something going on. It's my mind is then being taken away from what I'm thinking about, what's going to happen today or tomorrow or whatever, and I'm just taking in what I can hear. And it, as I say, it just takes my mind away from all the crap that I'm thinking about. So yeah, I try and meditate listening to rain sounds, but generally I'll just end up falling asleep. So I'm not amazing at doing meditation by myself. A lot of the time I would say as well that I would put on a guided meditation as well, so someone that's sort of talking you through it, and you can find these on YouTube as well as like on CDs and things like that. So yeah, CDs, I feel so retro saying that. Right, this is an interesting one. Have I ever been to see a medium, psychic, or have a tarot reading, anything like that? I've been to a couple of those where you sit in an audience and like a medium or psychic will, you know, pick people and say, oh, so and so, you know, wants to talk to you, they look like this, that and the other, and they just want to say blah 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 blah. I was at Witchfest and I had a tarot reading done, and that was interesting. And I mean, the woman was great. She was spot on with so many things. I'm not going to go into detail about that because it's a little bit personal, but yeah, she was spot on with it. So yeah, have had a tarot reading done, and I would say the best person I've seen that is a medium, and she practices really. I mean, things just come to her anyway. She doesn't even really need to practice, but she's sort of very open, you know, with spirits coming to her. And I've seen this lady a few times, and she's, as I say, she's spot on. There's things that I know I've not even spoken about that she said, oh, you know, I'm getting this image of this, that and the other, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, and this person's coming through and they look like XYZ. And she's been spot on with that as well. So it's fascinating the way that people, there's some people that are just so open, and they're so sort of gifted with being able to, you know, speak to spirits from the other side, you know. I say I wish I could do that, but, you know, careful what you wish for, because I've heard a few mediums say that when they've been trying to go to sleep at night, they've had all sorts of people coming, you know, spirits coming and talking to them, and they've not given them given that medium a minute's peace, as it was. Okay, which witchy books have influenced me? So there's been many that I've obviously got on my bookshelf behind me, but the main one is Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. So yeah, that's a Scott Cunningham book that I've read from cover to cover, and it's fascinating. Where witchcraft is concerned, I'd say I've just read more stuff just online, more or less about witchcraft. And, you know, as I say, I've gone not away from Wicca, but I moved a little bit away from it, and just sort of, as I say, generally got into witchcraft, and you know, just trying to hone my skills where that's concerned. But yeah, Scott Cunningham is great. And also another one is Kate West, so I've got a few of her books as well. Real Witch's Kitchen by Kate West is a great book. She's obviously done loads of other books, but that's one of the ones that I used a lot when I do baking, and I would I would include intentions and like a spell while I was baking. So as I say, with any food that I made, I would be sort of putting my intention, let's say making food with love, and that's exactly, you know, what I would do. I generally make cookies, to be fair, and cakes and things, and just put good intentions and positivity into that, and hoping that the people that, you know, ate the cookies and cakes and stuff, good things, you know, positive things would come their way. But yeah, so anyway, yeah, Kate West, she's another good one as well. Favourite witch movie? I mean, it's difficult really, because there's not that many films that are like witchy, you know, where there's been good witches. I mean, I know people always go on about practical magic and stuff like that, but I would say my favourite film or films that involve witches is the Paranormal Activity franchise. I think The Craft, that was another one that kind of ever so slightly sparked my interest in witchcraft. And you know, obviously, you've got different elements within that film. You know, you've got kind of good witch, you've got your bad witch, and then you've got the other two that are kind of in between, and it just covers all bases. Yeah, so yeah, I suppose I'd say The Craft. Favourite mythological animal, going back to Greek mythology, it would have to be the Pegasus. Ever since I saw Clash of the Titans, the 1981 version, when I was a lot younger, I can't remember how old I was when I first watched that film, and I couldn't believe it. I loved horses at the time, and then when I saw this horse with wings, I was like, oh my god, that's incredible. I would love a Pegasus. I just think they're so magical, so mystical, they're just beautiful. A horse with wings, who wouldn't want one? So yeah. Right, favourite season. My favourite season is actually autumn. Spring comes second, then I would say winter, and then summer. So yeah, it's because with winter you've got the extremes of cold, and then summer you've got the extremes of heat. So I prefer autumn and spring just because they're the in between phase, and the temperatures are just right, just nice. And in the spring you'll get snowdrops, and then you'll get things like daffodils and tulips and all that coming up. And then in the autumn, even though that's all dying away, the trees turn a beautiful colour. They're going from green to orange, browns, and you know, yellows and all the rest of it. And even though they're turning those colours, they don't stay those colours for a very long time. So as I say, it's catching those sort of few weeks or whatever it is in the year to see those changes is just amazing. Okay, my favourite herb has got to be white sage, very closely followed by rosemary. Yes, they are both connected with protection, but also connected with healing as well. So they are my favourite herbs, and they smell gorgeous when they're burnt. You know, you can put them in cooking as well and they taste great. So yeah, they're my two favourites. My favourite gemstone, amethyst. Every time it's amethyst. When I was a kid, as I said in a previous video, I went along the beach collecting rose quartz and things like that. So that was my first love, my first, you know, crystal love, I suppose you could call it. But yeah, so yeah, rose quartz when I was a teenager, but now as I'm older, I just prefer amethyst. I love the colour, I love the stone. It's to do with the crown chakra. It is also very protecting and very healing as well. So yeah, I always have a bit sort of with me, or try to have a bit with me as much as I can. Okay, so this is asking about my athame. This is my athame. There we go. So that's just what I use. It's just a small one. I know some people will have like a bigger one of these. I just preferred small, because at the time when I bought this, I was living in a really small room. You know, I was living in a maisonette with a bunch of other people, and I had my own room, but it wasn't massive, so everything I did had to be small. And this altar, as you can see behind me, is quite small, because even though I've got more space now, it's my snakes that take up a lot of the room. So, and obviously I love them to bits, but yeah, so I've got a smaller altar, and this just did the job. And for me, this represents the element of fire. So yeah, so that's it. I got that from Witchfest as well for about £5, £10, something like that. So yeah, back in 2008. Right, my wand. This is mine. It's got like a little clear crystal at the top. It's got these carvings. And what I didn't show in my last video is this has like a little swirl. It almost looks like a cinnamon swirl. But yeah, so I learned that that represents the god and that represents the goddess. So I don't know if you can see that, it might be a bit blurry, but yeah, so this is my wand. It's made of willow. I did actually get this off of eBay, so I didn't like buy it from a shop or anything. And yeah, I was just very drawn to willow, and I just wanted a willow wand. The carvings are beautiful on it. I absolutely love it. I love all the swirls as well. And obviously someone's used one of those wood burning pens and stuff on this. So, and I've actually got one of those. So I'm hoping this year at some point I can go out near some woods, collect some, you know, sticks that I can fashion into a wand and just create something as beautiful as this. But this is my only wand, so yeah. And obviously, as I said in a previous video, I use this for the element of air. So yeah, so that's it. Okay, the last question is, do I have a cauldron? Yes, I do. So this is my cauldron. I think I got this back in 2009 when I went to Glastonbury. As you can see, it's got a pentacle on it. It's got 3 legs. And it's heavy because it's cast iron. And yeah, you can see all my bits and bobs that I've burnt in there in the past. But yeah, so this is my little cauldron. And yet again, it's small because I have to live a slightly little compact life. But yeah, so I love it and I do use it, and it is very heavy. So yeah, again, this will be used if I'm spell casting and I'm writing on a piece of paper my intentions, and then I'll burn it in the cauldron. And then for me, what I believe is that my hopes, dreams, wishes, whatever you want to call it, will then become released into the air and hopefully into the universe for the goddess and the god to hopefully bring some lovely positive goodness. So yeah, so that's my cauldron. So they're just a few Q&A questions. If you do have any questions to ask me, then, you know, just comment down below. So if you did enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and when you do subscribe, please hit that bell notification and press all so you get notifications of all my latest videos. And if you've got any comments or questions, then just pop them in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer them. But for now, from myself, it is goodbye, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks very much for watching.